Hey, welcome to Practically Grown,
a bi-weekly podcast where we bring you our own special brand of golden heathenry,
where we bring you a variety of topics that will enlighten your mind
and practically grow your life.
Hello and welcome. So today for our show, we're going to be talking about Trump and the impending impeachment against him. We're going to talk about a little bit of character examples about the type of things he's done, and the type of just person he's portrayed himself to be. Then we're going to go into the impeachment itself, just talking about the politics of it. What is impeachment? How does that work? How does that process look? And then we're going to go into the rebuttal to the impeachment. Basically, the people that aren't on board with it, what are they saying and what are their reasoning? So I'm Ashley.
I'm Nicole.
And to start us off on our character examples, Nicole.
So first we're going to talk about a little history about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is one of the first presidents to actually utilize Twitter in a very modal way. Some of us first learned of Donald Trump back in 2004. He had a show that was called The Apprentice. And as you guys know, Nene Leakes was on The Apprentice, and that's when she really got some of her stardom from. A lot of stars have actually came from Donald Trump, and I think that was the only good thing that probably came from the show. As you guys also know, that he had a really successful hotel that was located in various cities. So actually he got in office in 2017 of January the 20th, but he was elected on the 9th of November. Prior to him being elected to president, as you guys saw the presidential debates, he was very aggressive and very, very disrespectful towards the other people that was competing against him. I personally feel that those were signs to see that he wasn't really fit to be a president, but however, he still managed to find his way within the election. If we move forward from that, if you don't know, he actually is the owner of the Miss Universe pageant. He's been owning it since 1996. Behind the story of this, he was very disrespectful towards a lot of women, and mainly the Latino women. The reason why I pointed out that particular point, because earlier this year, he really wanted to build a wall to stop the Latinos from coming in and to send the ones that were already over here back out. I personally feel that someone that's like that is very vindictive, and that's someone that should not be serving in a presidential spot. When you're the president of the United States of America, you should have some type of loyalty, love, and prosperity, and I feel like he didn't have any of those with his name attached. So furthermore, Bernie Sanders actually wrote last month on Facebook, linking to a report that Trump actually tried to stop same-sex marriages from actually adopting kids. I personally think that's very, very hateful, because these are innocent kids that are looking for homes, and I feel like they need to be loved, whether it's by two men, two women, or whatever. And this list of things shows that Trump was just not fit to be president, and I do feel like the impeachment was definitely overdue. So I would actually take it away with a little more factual things, but that was the history of Trump.
Yeah. So of course we have our own opinions on him. We definitely feel the type of way, but yeah, so that was just him and how he behaves. But now just talking about the politics of just this impeachment, this specific thing we're talking about today. So the word impeachment, when you talk about impeachment, it doesn't mean that we're going to throw him out of office. That's not what impeachment itself means.
No.
So it just means that a legislative body, one of the checks and balances, are pretty much calling him to the carpet, saying, hey, this is something that we think is a high crime that is a breach in the integrity of your position in the United States. So it's not if he stole a pencil. It's something pretty serious. It's definitely something that we as Americans don't see often, because it is a very, very heavy thing on a person, and it usually, or it always, has a very serious consequence. Mm-hmm. Even if they don't get thrown out, just to be impeached, to talk about this is a big deal, because it means that you did something that upset, the checks and balances so much that they called you to the carpet.
It's basically like the final draw for everything.
Yeah, it's like you can't just do whatever you want. You can't just, because you're the president and you did it, it's right. That's not how, government works. So the House is the one who drafts the articles of impeachment. So we all know you have the House and the Senate. The House are the ones who actually start the impeachment process. They hold hearings, they kind of discuss this amongst themselves. And then once it gets approved there, or goes through that stage, it goes to the Senate for trial. So in this particular impeachment, what's happening is that Trump is being called for impeachment because of a phone call that he made to the Ukrainian government officials or official. Basically withholding a bunch of military aid, $391 million worth of military aid.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money that would really, help the people there in their military efforts, but the impeachment is on him saying, hey, we won't give you this aid unless you bring up dirt on one of my political opponents. Mm-hmm. So basically, this crime or even the thought of this crime is very, very serious because if you are someone like, if this were to go through the Senate and he gets removed, it's really important to say, hey, you can't just call people and say, we're not going to give you the money that Congress already said you deserve, or we agreed to give you, I should say, and you're going to withhold it because of political favor. So this whole thing is framed under the idea that this is something that only someone in his position could do. It's not just like, I can't call Ukraine and be like, yo, I'm not giving you money. Like, we can't do that. We don't have that type of power. So it's a way bigger offense when it's someone in his position, and that's why it's so important.
Yep.
So the people of the House and the people who are for this impeachment are saying that this is pretty much setting a precedent for Trump and for everyone else. Like, you have to kind of follow the rules. You have to do what you're supposed to do, and you can only get away with so much before, hey, we have to say, you know what? This right here is the line.
Because we let him get away with so much, but
It's a lot, but I think this is one of those things where it's like, okay, we can't budge on this thing, At least this is how it's being framed in this impeachment. So one of the people that are for impeachment is Adam Schiff. Apologize if I'm saying that wrong. Please correct me in the comments or something. I don't know, but Adam Schiff, he is the Democrat of California. He's the chairman of the House Intelligence. The House Intelligence Committee. Oh gosh, the word is so hard.
Yeah, you have it though.
Intelligence Committee. Okay, so he is in charge of that. So basically, his work is to investigate what's really happening. He's the one his committee is the one looking over these phone calls, looking over just the whole atmosphere.
Basically pulling all the receipts of everything. Yeah,
he's like, hey, when we go to trial about this is, I'm one of the people that are really pushing for this. So just, if you hear his name, that's what he does. And so the person that Trump was trying to get dirt on, or political dirt, whatever, is Joe Biden's son, who could possibly be a opponent against Trump. So the idea is that you, instead of just winning the race fairly, you're trying to call in favors to get more dirt so that you can win. That's the issue. So that's just an overview of the impeachment itself. So there's a lot of language about it, but it really is quite simple. It's just, we're trying to figure out if what he did is we're trying to figure out if he did it, first of all. Like, for sure, can we remove him for this? And impeachment is the first step to that. It's us saying, hey, this is an issue. We gotta talk about this. Yeah. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of language about it, but that's what it boils down to. So when I looked up the rebuttal to the impeachment, because, like I said, we have our own views and we have what we think is right. But I did want to take a moment to be like, hey, well, what is the other side saying? Like, what are they saying about the impeachment? And for me, what I found is mostly that they believe that the impeachment is unfounded, that it is a waste of time and resources and just American attention, pretty much, that we shouldn't be scrutinizing the president over something that they consider to be normal and just and fine.
Well, they're saying that we've wasted time, but I feel like he's been wasting time since he's been inside of the White House. Obama really set up a lot of things for a lot of people, and I feel like Trump came in and wiped everything out, so...
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of resistance from the White House since he's been there. It hasn't been as easy to cooperate because it's more like, well, you're wasting time. Yeah. So I don't want to talk about it. But I really do want to point out, so when these impeachment hearing or talks about impeachment were happening, the White House could send someone to defend themselves against this impeachment. So in the hearing, which is on Monday, we're filming this on a Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
On a Saturday, but on Monday, they're going to have this hearing. So the White House could have sent someone there to defend Trump and this White House counsel in general. But they're choosing not to do that. So instead, they sent a 2-paragraph letter It's on a bunch of news stations. I'm sure you've heard of it, but in this letter, they pretty much said, we're not doing that. If you have the evidence, take us to court. We don't want to waste any more time. And like I said, I'm trying to give you the facts of what the other side says, and their reasoning was, this is taking up too much attention, too much time, stuff like that. We're not going to deal with it. But me personally, I think it's really disrespectful to the process of impeachment and to not even acknowledge this is something so big, you know, so grand that you're like, I'm not even going to talk about it. That's a danger. So not only that, but they also are just having issues with how the impeachment is going. They're like, well, we need to question all your witnesses. Like, do you really have the evidence for this? And one of the things that I found really odd was that, like I said, the House is the one that does the impeachment, but the Senate is the one that does the trial from the impeachment. The White House counsel is pretty much pushing to get past the House as fast as possible. Do whatever you gotta do. We don't care. We're not showing up, whatever. Yeah. To get to the Senate, which, I mean, it seems weird to me. I don't know. I'm not in the White House.
Same.
But it seems weird that the Senate is mostly Republican ran. It just, it looks like to, you know, regular Americans that you're not talking about this until it gets into your wheelhouse. So that's just the way it appears, you know, for me looking it up. But, I mean, hey, if you want to argue with us.
I definitely feel that the Republicans are definitely trying to play it safe, and they're being very cautious, which is smart on their end, but still, I feel like all the things that he's done and the receipts that the guy is pulling, what's his name that you said earlier?
Schiff.
Yeah, the guy, I feel like he pulls so much information that they have no point but to actually serve him and just impeach him because there's too much proof going on, so.
Yeah. And I heard that too. Like, I heard one of the arguments was that, like, they don't want to talk about it because it's going to make the White House look bad.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
he's already made the White House look bad, though, so it's not much more they could do to make it look bad, honestly.
Yeah. So, I mean, they may be protecting their image. I don't know why they're saying they won't talk
They're definitely
about
playing it safe, which is smart, but I feel like with the receipts that they have, I feel like it can't be played either way, so.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's just, we just want to come to you and try to kind of boil it down so that you can understand a little bit better. If you do have any thoughts about it, leave some comments.
Yeah,
tell us how you
totally.
feel. Yeah, definitely. We would love to learn about different people's arguments because, like I said, we have our own opinions.
Yeah.
But, you know, you guys all have opinions too. So leave them with us.